Good morning. Today I'm going to read a little bit more from my book. So, this is about, again, the implicit effect on your nervous system that arises from traumatic experiences. And this can come, it starts in childhood, it starts early, and it is transgenerational, intergenerational trauma, both. But most often, is very firmly implanted in our nervous systems as children. So, examples of this include thoughts and beliefs that are associated with feeling like it is my fault that certain things have happened, or my responsibility to fix them, even when logically you in the now does not think that makes any sense when you have to sort of sit down and sort it out. Somebody says, well, why do you feel that way? You can't really understand why you do, but you know that you do. You may not be able to recognize your boundaries when this type of programming has been activated in your nervous system. So again, we're back to that. A lot of this comes back to this programming in which we are not allowed to have healthy boundaries. Ways to identify this are by noticing when your behavior is incongruent to what is actually happening in your environment. So for example, if you're responding to something and when you stop and think about it, you think, I kind of overreacted to that, or I feel like I'm having a really strong reaction wherein, you're extremely sad, you're extremely angry, and it's just basically like maybe something dropped on the ground and broke, and it's no big deal, but in that moment you just feel overwhelmingly upset by it. Or perhaps one of the other very common patterns is to not feel heard. So for example, if you feel like people are talking over you, if you feel that people are not valuing what you're saying, sometimes the pattern is then to just react very strongly to that, and oftentimes to actually shut down and stop communicating, and then later have a very strong response that is not in alignment with the moment in which you had that experience. So this is also a pattern of having unhealthy interpersonal effectiveness with people, because you're scared that, you're not allowed to, your nervous system, I should say, it feels that it's not safe for you to express yourself in that moment, because you feel that either it's your fault or you're just bad or whatever you might have been programmed with. So the way to work with this is to go ahead and notice when your nervous system becomes triggered or activated. And remember that it's going to perform what I refer to as a system override. Essentially, logical thought processes kind of go out the window, and we go into the patterns that we learned as children, or that we learned in our family of origin. In this moment, your nervous system perceives that some action you're taking is a threat to you, even when this action is as simple as saying no and holding healthy boundaries, questioning other people's behaviors. So I've talked about this a lot before already. And the thing to remember with this as you're working with it is that you are programmed to believe this, right? And it's not going to make sense logically in the now. It's just not, because it doesn't, because it's not rooted in the now. So expecting yourself or sort of shutting it down or disqualifying your feelings in these moments is something that we tend to do, because we think, well, this doesn't make sense, this isn't logical, I know this sounds crazy, or whatever wants to come out as like a caveat or a qualifier. But it's really important to pinpoint these moments of incongruent response to different situations that you're having, because this can help to then bring again those patterns, those unconscious patterns that we've been programmed with, into the conscious mind. And that way we can see, oh, this is where the irrational, illogical programming is sitting. And then we start to work with that. So you may find that it's odd to verbalize them because they don't make logical or rational sense. And if you find yourself qualifying something along the lines of this is the thought that came into my head, but it's embarrassing to admit because it's not logical, then you know immediately that the thought that follows is an important negative cognition, that it is an important negative cognition. So an important, like, your nervous system is going ahead and throwing something in there that's like, yeah, this is why we do this, right? And then even that, when you sort of have, if you have logical discussion with somebody about it, it's like, I don't know, it doesn't make sense, right? So these are the frustrating patterns that even when we've done lots of work on ourselves, sometimes we get to this point and we're like, I don't know why I can't, make this final change. So it's understanding these parts. It's understanding that this is the nervous system activation, and again, just observing it. Just, okay, this is what it, saying to yourself or to somebody else, this is what it feels like when my nervous system is activated, and then just letting that be like, okay, and creating a sense of safety for yourself, because you are in fact in those moments, as we've discussed, safe, right? So if you can allow yourself to just think, right, this is what this feels like, I'm going to breathe, I'm going to notice this, I'm going to observe it, and I'm going to allow myself to feel safe. That is a really excellent first step towards moving through this. And it's a practice. It's not just a first step where you like do it once. It's basically something to come back to and sort of continue to repeat. And so that's one of the good starting points to continue with as far as like overall nervous system, cognitive reprogramming of these really, really long transgenerational trauma patterns that we've all been incepted with. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.